Halfway up a mountain, a climber made a decision that sounds completely wrong. He stopped climbing the mountain. A few hours later, he reached the top. At first, that sounds ridiculous. But stay with me. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. The climber wasn't trying to be clever. In fact, he had reached a point where he wasn't sure he could continue. His body was exhausted. The weather was getting worse, and the summit still seemed impossibly far away. The more he looked at the distance remaining, the heavier it felt. The more he thought about reaching the top, the more impossible it seemed. So he stopped. Not physically, mentally. He stopped climbing the mountain. He stopped measuring the distance left. Stopped wondering whether he would make it. Stopped asking himself how much longer he could keep going. Instead, he focused on a single thing: the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Tonight, I want to talk about that moment. The moment when hope becomes weak, because sooner or later, most of us arrive there. Not at a mountain, but somewhere in our lives. A project that isn't working, a dream that keeps getting delayed, a problem that refuses to leave, a season of waiting that lasts much longer than expected. At first, we move forward because we are excited, because we are hopeful, because we believe the effort will pay off. But then, something changes. The results don't come. The answers don't arrive. The road stretches farther than we imagined. And hope, little by little, begins to lose its strength. I think this is where many people become unfair to themselves. They assume that if they were stronger, they would feel more hopeful. If they were braver, they would feel more confident. If they were doing things correctly, they wouldn't be struggling so much. But what if none of that is true? What if weak hope isn't a sign that you are failing? What if it's simply a sign that you've been carrying something heavy for a long time? When a person's legs become tired after a long walk, we don't call them weak. We call them tired. Yet, when our hearts become tired, we often judge them. We expect them to keep carrying the same weight with the same energy forever. And that's not how people work. Sometimes hope gets tired. It becomes quiet. It shrinks to almost nothing. The question is not what hope does then. The question is what we do. And maybe the answer is simpler than we think. Maybe we stop trying to carry the whole future. We stop demanding certainty. We stop staring at the summit. Instead, we narrow our focus. What needs to be done today? What is the next step? Not the next year, not the next 100 steps, just the next one. There is something strangely powerful about making life smaller when it becomes overwhelming. One conversation, one task, one morning, one decision. Small enough to hold, small enough to carry. Because when hope is strong, it can pull us forward. But when hope becomes weak, routine can carry us. Commitment can carry us. Habit can carry us. The quiet decision to continue can carry us. And often, that's enough. In fact, I have started to believe that some of the strongest people are not the ones who never lose hope. They are the ones who know how to keep moving when hope is barely whispering. The ones who show up anyway. The ones who take the next step anyway. The ones who continue long enough for hope to find them again. Because that's the strange thing about hope. Sometimes we think we must wait for it before we move. But often it returns because we moved. One step creates another. One day creates another. One small act of persistence becomes evidence that the story isn't over yet. And slowly, almost without noticing, the weight begins to change. The road begins to change. The distance begins to change. And one day, you look back and realize you have traveled much farther than you thought possible. Not because hope carried you the entire way, but because when hope became weak, you didn't ask it to carry the mountain. You carried the next step. And somehow, step by step, the mountain moved behind you. Until next time, take care.